Cycling is a sport I often forget about. All I remember is the clips of multiple bikes crashing together after one guy falls over, or the horrific news articles of the injuries after falling in the Tour de France. But this manga, its cover just screamed to me. You should read this. You should check this out. And the series I'm talking about is Getaway Matsumoto: The 100 Days Escape. The story is about Matsumoto, our main character. He is basically an all-star from college. He was undefeated when he was in his prime for cycling, and he was just the top of the top in Japan until an incident happened which got him banned entirely from competing ever in the cycling world. Now he spends most of his days delivering food and just kind of making ends meet. But with his food delivery service, there is still that drive to go very, very fast and be the fastest basically ever. And he still has this drive backing him up. And in a couple of panels, it kind of gives off just the similarities to another series I will talk about later in the video. But for now, back to Matsumoto. Matsumoto was out doing his job and delivering food to numerous customers when he saw a billboard that mentioned a new road cycling group called Road 13. Now, one of the people in Road 13 was someone that Matsumoto easily beat and easily competed with back in college. And Matsumoto notices this. Matsumoto also meets up with one of his old college friends who also brings up this point and says like, yo bro, you could easily beat him. You should try to get back into this. And Matsumoto knew that he couldn't get back in because the incident that happened that got Matsumoto out of cycling and banned forever was he was framed for doping. And in the cyclist world, apparently doping is highly, highly, highly frowned upon. So he's been banned ever since and just been doing his food delivery service. Now, as Matsumoto has been thinking this over and he's thinking over what just happened with his friend and he goes home to his wife, he just starts crying. It all comes to him at one fell swoop. He's just crying. He's sitting there and he realizes he doesn't want to be a food delivery driver. He wants to compete again. So Matsumoto goes back to his regular day-to-day food delivery, but he realizes how his emotions have really been shifting in the last couple of days with the Road 13 and reflecting on his past successes as a college all-star. And as he goes up to deliver food to a customer, he walks in and is drugged. Once he comes to, he walks around just to see his footing, see where he's at, and he sees the chairman for the cyclist group, Road 13, dead in front of him with a knife impaled in him. Now, Matsumoto is anxious and tries to frantically get out before they get up there, and as anyone could tell, a food delivery driver kind of has, the big bag on their back, and if he's a cyclist, he's kind of easy to see, right? So as he's making his escape and as he's realizing the position he's in, he bolts on his bike going approximately like 69 kilometers per hour or 70 per hour. As he runs from the police, he starts getting that competitive nature that he had back when he was an all-star cyclist. He is excited. He's happy. He's enjoying himself when he's running away from the police, suspected for a murder. But as he's getting away, he gets a call again from the unknown source, and they give him a deal, which is if he can survive by outrunning the police for 100 days, he will be reinstated in the cycling world. Now, as the person makes this claim, Matsumoto is kind of skeptical and saying, how can you make this? How can you make this happen? How is this possible? But at the same time, with everything that happened in the previous pages, even if it's just a 1% chance of this happening, he wants to take it. I should also mention that the culprit will also come clean, that they did the murder and not Matsumoto. He'll take the full rap. And that was all in the first chapter. Now, to kind of give my comparison to Blue Lock, it's not exactly the same stakes. Matsumoto being a murderer and suspected from running from the police isn't the same stakes as losing your career as a soccer player forever, but I think it's still the same amount of drive and force to keep them on their seat. Like, for example, Isagi wanting to be the best striker of all time, and Matsumoto feeling like he accomplished a lot in his past but feels like he could still be number one, is kind of the same driving factor for both of our main characters. And that's the main comparison I'm seeing with the two. Also, in comparison, the eyes, when they both get into that deep focus, is kind of similar. And I think the main driving forces for both our characters are winning and being at the top and just risking and gambling it all for being at the top, being the best that they can be. And that's why I was comparing it to Blue Lock, and just cyclists versus soccer players obviously aren't the same, but the idea of the stakes involved for both of them are similar. But obviously Matsumoto, I think, is just more in a life or death situation, where if he messes this up, he'd go to jail for the rest of his life. Now the question is, will I keep reading this? And the answer is 110%. I will keep reading this. This is such a good opener. I was hooked on every page. The story is very interesting. I am up to date on Blue Lock. So as you can see, the reason I made the comparison is that I am up to date on Blue Lock, and it does give the same, I don't want to say feeling, but it does give a similar vibe to Blue Lock. So it does capture my attention the same amount that Blue Lock does. And I'm a very big fan of Blue Lock and that structure. It's a great story. And this being the first chapter and the first series by this author is crazy to me. But I think it's very well done. And if you're into Blue Lock or you're into what I spoke about earlier, I definitely recommend you check it out. But for that, I think I'm going to wrap things up here. I appreciate you guys for watching to the end. If you sticked around to the end, I appreciate a like, subscribe if you want. And I post videos bi-weekly, so we can get a new video by 2 weeks from now. And yeah, let me know what you guys think of Away Matsumoto 100 Days to Escape. If you've read it, if you haven't read it, and you're excited about it now, let me know. And I will see you guys in the next one.